What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Good.
Good.
Good. Good. Life is good. How's it for you?
Everything's good. You look like you're ready to take on the day. You look fantastic. You look like, hey, I'm all ready to go. You look like you have stuff to do today.
I do. I've got
Okay.
I do. I have got quite the list of things to do, but I like life like that. It's better than being bored, so
It
it's
it
okay.
is. You know what? You know what's interesting? I don't know about you on downtime, but when you're at home, doesn't it seem like the day goes by super fast? When you're out, you can get so much done, but we talk about shows all the time. Like I'll fall into watching a show that you tell me to watch, and I'm into it, and next thing you know, 3-4 hours have passed like that. And I'm
Yeah.
going, man, I go, what else could I have done in those 4 hours? But at the same time, I was entertained for those 4 hours, but I almost feel like I cheated the day a little bit by not leaving the house.
You lost some of your life there.
I did.
Um, I'm somebody who like wakes up a lot in the middle of the night.
Do you?
I don't sleep.
It's not
Yeah,
good.
I don't sleep solid. Eh, it is what it is. I drink a lot of water. I honestly have to blame my bladder because as soon as I start dreaming that I'm going to the restroom or trying to find the restroom in my dream, I know to wake
Yeah.
myself.
Oh, there you go.
I know to wake myself up. I know that
Yeah.
trick. So, no, I do get up a lot. So I have the TV on and off, on and off, on and off. And I can get a show or two in as I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I like, so say I fall asleep, I watch 1.5 shows and then I can watch that other half when I wake up really early in the morning. And then I get 2 shows in and I didn't really waste a lot of time. But I know what you're saying. I do know what
Yeah.
you're saying.
It's my son always tells me he lives by the motto is no one ever remembers the day they stayed home, meaning that hey, you got to get out, you got to live life, you got to create memories. And then I've run into other people, unfortunately we all know people that at some point or another they lose a job, whether they're salesmen or whatever, and they lose a job and they're at home. And then a lot of people have been through unemployment where all of a sudden the days just start rolling together. You forget what day of the week it is, and 9 o'clock in the morning turns into 5 o'clock in the afternoon, like that. And then all of a sudden, depression kicks in. And
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with watching TV. But what I always tell my friends who go through it, because I've been through it in the radio business or TV business, where all of a sudden you're looking for your next job. For men, I used to always say, two things: you got to shave, get up and shave your face, and the other thing is leave the house at least once a day, whether it's grabbing a cup of coffee, go put gas in the car wash, whatever. Just leave the house. But you can't sit there and make those 8 hours just roll together every day, because all of a sudden your mind messes with you and the depression kicks in. It's tough. And so anyway, it's not easy. And then you feel bad when you know people that are struggling, going, what's happening, and are they okay? As we talk about mental health on this show a lot, which I kind of like.
Yeah. I think also people turn to TV for like escapism, right? So you
Yes.
you don't want to deal with what's currently happening in your life, so you turn on the telly, and it's like, oh, you can watch something else, whatever it may be. But I do think it's very important to get out of the house every day. I always force myself, even if I'm like not feeling well, no matter what is. I also get bored really quick. I'm not good at just sitting still. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that'll put me into depression quick. I can't sit still for very long. Um, but you got to get outside. You got to go for a walk. You got to distract your mind from what's right here in your environment
Yeah.
to like what's out there and where you really fit in this world, you know?
I'm with you. I'm with you. Actually, it's one of the first things I do is I try and walk every day at 6 in the morning. And it just one of the things I started during the pandemic in 2020, where every day at 6 o'clock, I walk from 6 to 7 with a buddy of mine in the neighborhood, but we just walk the dog and go through everything. And it makes you become an early morning person. But at the same time, you feel like you accomplished at least one thing in the day right away, and keep
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, 6 o'clock in
Yeah.
the morning, I'm making lunches and snacks. I'm I'm screaming to get dressed. You're gonna be late. But yes, I do understand what you're saying. And I try to do it after carpool and all of that. I try to get in before it gets hot, or too cold or whatever it is. I try to get a walk in also because it's just so important. And your body just feels better. It's healthy and it's just so much better. Have you heard about this woman, Ruby Frank? I want to say her last name is Frank, Franke. Is that how you say
I don't.
Ruby
I don't
Frank?
know.
Frank? Um, she was an influencer. She was, let's say was, an influencer. She had like over 35,000 followers, and she was this influencer about how to raise children in a strict manner.
Oh,
And so she would make light of like, oh, they don't get breakfast until they've done their chores, or they don't get lunch. I never watched her. I wasn't a follower of her, so I'm not exactly sure, but I know that those were a couple examples of what she would do. She's just arrested.
really?
Um, yes, charged. She was charged this morning with 5 counts of child abuse. One of the
Was one of
kids,
them not feeding her kids?
not only was she not feeding him, she was tying him up, taping
Mm,
their mouth closed, had them like in the basement or in some other room. One of them escaped and like ran to a neighbor's house and asked for help. But
oh my
this was
gosh.
a popular influencer on TikTok and Instagram, big influencer.
Wow.
And she's a pretty lady or attractive lady. Now I can't call her pretty because she's obviously a demon, but
Did she live in Los
an
Angeles? Where did
attractive.
she live?
I don't know. She wasn't in
Okay.
Los Angeles. I don't know. I'm not sure of her location. But it's just like this eye opener of like life is not what it looks like on Instagram and TikTok.
Exactly.
So like when people go to escape, for TV shows or they go online or whatever it is, this lady was beating her children. This lady was starving her children, tying them up, taping their mouths closed. They were bruised, they were malnourished, they were completely left to survive on their own in a horrible manner. And her and I guess her partner, I don't know if it's her life partner or a friend or business partner, I don't know, but they've been charged. And her sister came out and spoke and said it's about time. And it's like, well, where were you if you knew
Yeah.
all this was going on? But yeah, her poor kids were malnourished and starving and beaten, and she's disgusting. So you have to really be careful who you look up to and who you look to for entertainment or escapism or all of that. It's kind of frightening.
It is. It's interesting you say that. I remember, God dang, this is, I don't say 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. I remember Frank Gifford and Kathy Lee Gifford used to make
Yeah.
these videos all the time that you could buy them like on infomercials on TV late at night or whatever. They run these commercials for how to have the perfect marriage.
Oh,
Do you remember these at all? And
I
they ran
don't.
these all the
I mean,
time and
I
how,
know the couple.
yeah.
I know.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
the couple, how
Yeah.
great their life is, and Frank this and her this, and I mean their lives were completely different. He was a football star, had a lot of money, and she was obviously a TV star, had a lot of money, and they would tell people how if you buy our tapes, we're going to show you how to have a perfect marriage. And then, 2 years later, he's cheating on her and they're getting divorced. You know what I mean? I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if they end up getting divorced, but their marriage wasn't what it was put out to be and why you would pay for their advice. And you can't ever paint anything with a broad brush, whether it's raising kids or relationships or anything. You never know, on the right way to do it. For me as a parent, I'll ask you the same thing. I was stricter when they were younger, let's say from age 4 up, and the better they behaved, the less strict I was. Meaning you earned more leeway. You're turning into a young adult, and then that was it. But if they wouldn't listen, then yeah, there were consequences. You weren't going to go out with your friends. You weren't going to, if you didn't clean up your room, you weren't going to do this. But that's the way I did it. I just was strict at the beginning, and then you get easier. You can't be easy and then get strict. You can't ever start easy and then go tough. But when they're little, you love them to pieces. Your kid can't get enough love. And then
Yeah.
and then you start saying this is what happened. This is what you have to do. You have to do your homework. You have to do all that stuff. But I'm not saying I did it right. I just every child behaves different, reacts different.
No, it's true. I mean, my parenting technique is this. If you I'll be cool. I will be very cool if you're cool. Like,
Yeah,
so there has to be a mutual respect. So if you do what you
agree.
need to do and what I ask of you, which really is not a lot, um, you're probably gonna have a really easy life.
Yeah,
But talk back, be rude for no reason,
treat
ignore
others
what I've
poorly.
asked. You know, watch me have selective hearing when you're asking for something.
Well, you've done a good job. Just from watching from afar, you've done a good job. Your youngest one, which you post more stuff on social media about. Boy, she is ready to take on the world. Like I love her
Good.
enthusiasm. You know what I mean? I just the way that she seems to, as a girl that knows what she wants, and she is going to have a good time going to get it. It's kind of cool to watch.
Well, and it's funny because she's kind of in this mood, this moment too, where she knows a lot. I mean, she really knows it
Yeah,
all. And,
yeah,
she's starting to see that I walk away really quickly. I will stop when I'm in the middle of doing for you when you start using a certain tone.
yeah,
And, she's starting to put all of that together. And last night in particular, I spent an hour and a half on a Zoom for a cheer meeting about fundraising, and then she's mad at me afterwards because it's now 8:30 at night and I haven't gone to pick up her. She wanted a pizza because it was going to make my life easier apparently to get her a pizza that night.
so she told
And
you.
yeah, yes. And she says something. I said, "Well, it's really late. Like, let's decide really quickly because it's late." Well, I know, she wanted to give me some kind of talk back about how late it is. I said, "Listen, I just sat there for you. This was this was not for me. This was for you. So find your own dinner, and walked away. The house is full of food. The kid's not gonna starve.
Yeah, of course.
And you it took maybe 3 minutes before she was in my room hugging me, almost in tears, saying, "I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm sorry." And I look at it as being overtired, probably hungry, but you have to make them think. You have to walk away and let them sit with it and think, "Whoa, what just went wrong there?
Yeah.
How did it go from my mom had her keys in her hand to go get me what I asked for to now she's in her room. She is now in her room with her shoes off,
Yeah,
putting pajamas on. This is a problem. I better fix it." So, I just kind of work like that. I'll give you what you give me, and you just hope you lead them in the right direction and they make the right choices, and shit,
absolutely.
love them and hope for the best.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also, I'm a big believer in treating people that you meet. Let's say you're out and you see someone but your daughter doesn't know, or let's say they do know that it's a neighbor, and your daughter at least says hello. I always drives me nuts when kids will stand there and won't even say hello. I'm like, I know you. You can't say, hey, how you
Yeah.
doing, Mr. Dave, or how you doing, Dave? Anything. It's kind of like, wait a second. So I always look back at that stuff I didn't pick up. I don't think as a parent because my kids were always good at it to introduce themselves if they didn't know the person or to acknowledge them, but not to acknowledge even an adult. Be the bigger person. You can own the room too.
Yeah, it's funny because my girls both were very shy, and so they were very shy, and that would stop them from what you're saying is saying hello to people, and
Yeah,
it's not. And I had to sit them both down individually and explain that some some forms of shyness come across rude. They come
yeah,
across as rude and disrespectful, and so you have to find that comfortable line where you can say hello and be polite, but not, cross your boundaries of being shy. You don't have to overshare. You don't have to ask them how their day is. You don't have to tell them what you're doing today, but you do smile and you do say hello. You do answer a question if you're asked.
yeah.
And that's enough, I think. But
True.
yeah, some forms of shyness do come across as rude. And it's just an interesting balance there because I want to respect them. They don't want to talk to strangers. I get it. I've
Yeah,
told you your whole life not to talk to strangers,
yeah,
right? And now
yeah.
all of a sudden
True.
I'm like, you better say hello.
Yeah.
Introduce
No,
yourself.
you're
It's
right.
like it's a balance. So, yeah,
You're
it's
right.
funny. Yeah.
You're right. No, I understand. My kids weren't shy kids. I told you I was very shy growing up. And I had a lot of people tell me later on after, even high school going, I always just thought you were conceited. And I said, no, not at all. But they said, you blew off so many people. I couldn't look anybody in the eye. I was always so shy. And so they did. They took it the exact way you said that I was just, people took it. They thought I was above them. That's why I didn't address them. And I was rude,
Yes, I would
So,
think
so
people
you're right.
probably I would think people probably might say the same thing about myself because I was also just so incredibly shy and like you couldn't look at people, couldn't answer for myself. It was just easier to just like stay in your own like zone, right? In your own
Yeah.
little lane and not talk to anybody. And yeah, it can come across as yeah, thinking you're better than or whatever when really so it's funny because that's how I'll look at people now when they're being a certain way. I'm like, well, they're probably really insecure. They're probably really shy and really insecure. And it at least it's helped me look at other people differently too, you know. So I'm
True.
not so quick to judge other people, you know.
True. That's right. All right. So today I wanted to ask you a couple things that I always think while watching TV. I have shows that I have fallen into. You've recommended some great ones, and I've told you some of the stuff that I watch. But as a viewer, I fall right into the story, which shows that they're doing a good job to me. As a viewer who watches an actor, where I can fall into the story and not sit there the whole time and going, "That's Denzel Washington." You know what I mean? Instead of I'm falling to his character and not who he is as an actor. And Denzel Washington's a great actor. That's not a shot. Just using him as an example. But when you watch TV or you watch movies, because you've been the person they're watching, do you find yourself being able to fall into it the way, let's say, I do, or do you sit there and go, there are 30 people standing around this actor right now? Like what like you know what I mean? Like what goes through your mind when you watch television?
No, I'm in it as a viewer. I'm in it for the entertainment. I want to be entertained. I'm in it to go for the journey. Different movies obviously are different. So, there is always that in the back of your mind, but no, I'm in it for the adventure. I want to be
Yeah.
entertained. I love watching people doing what they do best, and um, no, I want to be a fan. I want to be a viewer.
Okay, to me that is so interesting. Like even when I told you the first time I saw you at a taping of Charles in Charge, is there's a whole live studio audience, and there's a director there, and there's a producer sitting to the side, and there are a lot of people that you're putting the show on. When you're watching on television, you're just looking at a family of four people in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and as a viewer, you're into that scene. But for you, you're standing on the other side, of the glass. And when you were a kid and you're doing it, was it easy for you to jump into other shows too, or did you in your mind you're going, okay, this is how this really plays out?
Well, to be completely honest, I wasn't much of a TV viewer when I was growing up. I don't even remember ever turning the TV on. I know that sounds so
Wow.
strange, but not that much. I mean, when I was really little, living in my parents' home, yes. Like I Love Lucy Days, Laverne and Shirley, all of that, yes. Gilligan's Island, you know, all of that. But then as I got older and like lived on my own, I moved out when I was 15, 14, 15. I don't really remember ever turning the TV on. I don't think that's where I was at. And I swear to God, not until Sons of Anarchy came out, which I was telling you before, did I start getting into watching TV, like series, like
Yeah.
I was never a series I followed or anything like that. I was much more into music and books and being outside. Um, so being a TV viewer is probably, I would say, kind of more recent for me. Movies I always went to go watch, but you know, you go for the experience. Unless it's something really bad, then you're like, "Oh, you can't stop." You're like, "Oh my god, what did they spend the money on? Like how did this get past somebody? Who thought this was a good idea?" But no, I mean, I'm in it because I love it, and usually when you're shooting it and you're filming it, you kind of focus all that other stuff out too, and you're still trying to keep it with those four people in the kitchen. You try to stay right there in that moment. So a lot of it is blocking that other stuff out. But with that being said, you do appreciate certain like directors more than others. You're like, wow, what a shot. Or like, whatever it is that you enjoy about it, the look, the feel, the vibe. But no, I'm a fan. I'm a fan and I'm in it for the experience. 100%.
Do you watch things and go, wow, that is really good acting or that is really good writing? You just mentioned directors, but like I think for the average viewer, they don't realize, how important a good director is. They aren't thinking about how they got that shot or how things are done. But when you're watching, like I've never been even in a school play, I'll sit there and go, man, the acting's outstanding in this show. Like I mentioned Shameless, a couple shows ago, how I mean the acting is so good in the show, and the writing is so good. But like, do you watch as someone who's a professional going, boy, I recognize when I see a good actor?
Yes. And usually you're not thinking about it. And then that's what makes you realize like this acting is so good. You didn't even think you
Yeah.
were watching actors, right? Like that's when you go, whoa. Um, yes, for sure. Because there's just some people, you can learn a craft, you can learn how to act. And, there's those kind of actors. And then there's ones that are just, you can tell this is what they were born to do. This is natural. This is a God given talent. And you just get lost in it. And that's when and it's probably different for everybody, but that's when like these are amazing actors because you weren't even thinking you were watching actors, right? You just were immersed in their story.
Do you watch it all and say, I would love to work with like that person one day? Do you ever do those moves in your head of going, that person's so good at what they do, I'd love to be in a movie or a TV show with that person?
Well, sure, all the time. I mean, most good projects, I would at least like to be on set watching them. There's a lot of people you would like to shadow and just see how they go about it, or like, could I crawl inside their head,
Yeah.
and hear their thoughts. But yeah, all the time. But then the other side of that coin is, would you want to work with them because it would be so intimidating? Right? Like,
Yeah.
so intimidating. How do I go and act and stand next to that person, this, genius? How do I stand next to them and then I throw out my little talent? It's like, so, it's a mixed bag of, yes, that'd be amazing to be with them. And then it's like, well, wait a minute, I can't, I couldn't stand next to them and act next to them. I would, bring everything down. So it's like, but I enjoy watching. I mean, being a viewer
Yeah.
is, and that's the end goal, right? Isn't that the whole goal of why we do what we do, is for the viewership?
Yeah. I've heard a lot of male actors say that, like about a Robert De Niro, to go, I'm sitting there trying to do a scene. I'm thinking it's Robert De Niro, like they can't shake it out of their head, kind
Yeah.
of a deal. And so, that's always interesting to me. Just always kind of, there's certain people that obviously pull you in, no matter what film it's a draw, whatever what TV show it's a draw. And I was just curious to know if you look at it and say that person's going to make me better, and I want to be part of that project. If you look at it, at all that way or how it works, but as a the viewer, yeah, you want to see the best of the best. You just want to kind of know how it works and who can suck me in. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Who do I know that's going to be in this? It's going to go. They're going to suck me into the storyline. I'm not going to realize I'm watching a movie. I'm just have a front row seat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. 100%.
it's interesting. Here's one that I was always curious about too. Have you ever been casted, or would you be upset if you were casted to play a role of someone that was older than your actual age? And I'll give you an example. Okay, in the movie Selena, have you seen Selena with Jennifer Lopez?
Yes.
Okay, so Selena, Constance Marie plays her mom. Constance Marie was also on George Lopez show. And I'm going, okay, she's her mom and did a great job at it. But I had to look it up, and she was 32 years old playing a mom, of a girl that's like 20. And in my head, I'm like, that's crazy casting to me on how you do it. And how is she in her mind going, wait a second, I should have been Selena, and I'm playing Selena's mom? Like, have you ever been in a situation where, but it's kind of weird, they want to cast me in a situation that I'm 15, 20 years older than I actually am.
No, I mean, I think that's where you would have to get your ego in check, because this
Yeah.
is, you're playing characters, right? So,
Yeah.
it's like, also, would you be offended if they asked you to play somebody 15 years younger?
I'd be
Um,
complimented. Yeah, I'd be happy about that.
it's like, but would you? Because, who wants to be 15 years younger, really, mentally speaking? But it's like, I or you have, okay, so you have shows like This Is Us, right? Where
Yeah.
those actors are playing, young, modern, and then older. And
Yeah.
I just think that, I think more it would really come down to, like, can I pull this off? Like, this is
Yeah.
really, I'm gonna really have to, roll up my sleeves and, pull this off, more than, oh, I'm insulted that they think. I look older, because I don't think it's about that. I think makeup will age you, wardrobe. It's going to come down to your acting. It's going to come down to your skill, is can you do it? And I think that an actor should look at it as a challenge, not, and I think they do, not as, oh, this is an insult, because it's actually a compliment, because they think that you've got the range to be able to play something outside of your, your little box. So, no, that would not be an
Yeah.
insult.
Yeah, I always look back at that one movie and I always think about, I wonder how that one went because, I had to look up Constance Marie, which I had never even heard of her at the time until Selena came out. And go, well, she had a dancing background, and I don't know if she can sing or what else, but I imagine when she went for one of the roles, she probably went for the lead. And then Jennifer Lopez played it so well. I mean, it was really amazing. But again, as you said, it's a craft, it's an art. It's almost a compliment, I guess, to show your range that you're able to go up and down in age. When you mentioned Mandy Moore, like in This Is Us, there's so much makeup that went into it. I mean,
Yeah.
um, she didn't hide the fact that, hey, this was an 8-hour process every time I played myself older. Have you ever been in a situation like that where you're going, all right, the acting part is part of the job. Sitting in this chair for 8 hours to put this makeup on,
Yeah.
is a pain in the ass.
It's hard. It's hard. It's rough on your skin. Um, and then, getting it put on is one process, taking it off is a whole nother one. And, going throughout the day with the prosthetics and with that kind of makeup on, maintaining it throughout the day. That is not an easy task. That is some serious labor. It is, time consuming. It's a lot. It's a big process. But I honestly, you made me think about this. I would be more insecure about somebody asking me to play younger than older, because it would be like, to play younger, it'd be like, oh, who's she kidding? You know what I mean? Or like, how do you pull this off? You would be so much more self conscious than playing older,
Oh, that's
I
funny.
think.
I would take it as a compliment if I was you. Like, to me, you look young. You know what I mean? It means you've taken care of yourself. I don't know. I would. I'm so afraid of
Yeah.
aging that I would take it as, hey, I'm pulling this off because I don't know about you, but I think I'm not going to say, I'll use the word insecure, I guess, because I'll literally walk around and see people my age and go, hey, I'm pulling it together better than most. Like I have to talk myself up because I'm like, I just don't want to be an old guy. I just stress out about it.
Well, a lot of times it's like, yeah, you feel great, and then you catch yourself in like some pretty harsh lighting, and you're like, oh,
Well,
whoa,
we all have those
there
lights.
she is. Yeah,
Those bathroom lights in the mall that like the
yeah,
lights of death
or that
so you can see
direct
your bones through
sunlight.
your skin. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, or
You're
that
like, what
bright
the hell?
direct sunlight out in the outside. Like, so there's like, lighting can do a lot. One good light is a lifesaver. So
You ever you ever hit your phone, Nicole, by accident and it puts your
yes,
face on by accident? You're like, whoa, what the fuck? Yeah, it
yes,
like
and
ruins
then
your
I'm like
day.
depressed. Then I'm depressed for the rest of the day. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got you. I understand what you're saying. Oh my
Oh
gosh, that's too damn
god.
funny.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my
So
gosh.
no, I'd rather
Oh
go
my
older. I'd rather play
Okay.
the old lady.
So how old? Like how old would you go and go, okay, my feelings aren't hurt?
Well, my feelings are just not going to be hurt. Dave.
Okay. You're good. You're
My
tougher than
feelings
me.
are
I'm
not
I'm
hurt.
very insecure. I'm very insecure.
My
Yes.
feelings are not hurt at all. If somebody wants to offer me a job for anything, my feelings are not going to be hurt. I'm complimented that they think that I can, fulfill a
Yeah,
role, and that they would want me in their project. You have to look at it like that. Look
sure.
at all these character actors. Like, who comes to mind is Patricia Arquette, who's such a hottie, right? And such a pretty lady. And she does these character roles, and ages herself, or um, you know, w- what was the one? Oh God, I loved it. She was so good. Where her daughter, she pretends her daughter is sick all the time, and
Oh
she has
yeah.
her daughter, and the daughter ends up killing her.
Yeah.
Um, she aged herself. She made herself much less attractive.
Yeah.
Put weight on, or wore, things to make her look like she had weight on, and she was fantastic. fantastic. And then she gets to take all of that off and be her beautiful self again, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't ever think it's an insult. I think it's quite the compliment. And I think it means that they can see that you've got more going on than just a pretty face.
I think you're right. That right there, I think, was a great example. It was, I mean, it shows the range of your craft right there for you to be able to
Yes.
pull that off. For any actor that's able to do that, you're right. That's absolutely incredible. When people are talking about it, walking to the car, going, "That was amazing. That was the same girl." You know what I mean? That kind of deal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right, I want to get to today's mailbag because these questions are a little bit different than most. To me, this plays more
Okay.
kind of like a Dear Abby kind of deal. Do you remember the old
Okay.
Dear Abby? All right,
Yeah.
so this is it's a little bit unusual. A little bit of advice is what they're asking for here. Okay, so again, Nicole's mailbag. It's easy if you want to participate and ask Nicole questions. You just go to perfectlytwistedpod.com and look right at the top. You'll see Nicole's mailbag. Ask a question. I'm going to throw the glasses on last time because I butchered it in the last show. Sorry. Here we go. This was from Curtis. Okay. I'm not going to give any last names. Okay. So this says, Nicole, I got hurt by a girl that I was very much in love with. I'm a quiet person. When I go to sleep, I dream of meeting that girl somewhere and yelling at her and telling her how much I was hurt. Do you think this is therapeutic?
Um, okay, I'm a huge dreamer. Like I have really vivid dreams and they
Do
go
you
in all
remember them?
different directions. Yes, I
And do you
remember them.
remember when you wake up? Wow.
Yeah. Mhm.
I wish I could.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and I have very vivid dreams. So, I do think it's good sometimes to play things out how you would have liked to have played them out. Because 'cause I'll do it. I'll have a conversation with someone or even if it's like an altercation or something, and I'll think about it throughout the day and go, "I should have responded like this or I should have said that." So I do think it's good to play things out in your head to get some closure, but I also think that you have to people call it forgive somebody. I don't know if it's forgiving somebody or if it's you know, thinking more of yourself to not care anymore about how that person treated you. It's sort of like they say forgive that person for yourself. You give forgiveness so that you can heal. But I don't know if it's actually forgiving those people or if it's realizing that you don't need that in your life and you don't deserve that in your life and you need to move on because you deserve more than that. So they shouldn't be a thought for you anymore. So on one hand that you can't control your dreams quite honestly, and if that's what you're feeling, I feel like your body needs to, get that out of its system. But I do think you should work on letting it go. Just letting it go and realizing that was not the relationship for you. There's something that you were supposed to learn in there. And I
Yeah.
would focus on that. I would focus on finding the lesson and how you can make yourself a better person and just love yourself more. Be your own parent and love yourself more and think less of that person, if that makes any sense.
I
See,
think
I'm
that was
not a
good.
therapist. Yeah.
No, 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 no. But I think that was good. Better than I would have thought of. Yeah, I'm usually I'm usually a one strike fuck you person, but you're right. You talk about all the time about basically going through a life experience and coming out on the other end better. What did you learn from it? And so, yeah, Curtis, as much as it might hurt that you learn from that experience, how do you make yourself a better person for the next relationship you're going to be in? But
Yeah.
doesn't do you any good to go run up to that girl and start screaming at her.
No, and what
Yeah,
boundaries are you gonna set for yourself for the next relationship or your
exactly.
friendship or whatever it is, encounter? You have to then say, "This is what I'll accept, this is what I won't accept," so that it doesn't get to that place. You gotta see those red flags, and pay attention to them instead of what we all do is, like, pretend they're not there and think that, this story is gonna play out the way we want it to instead of seeing it for what it really is, and I think that's, you gotta find that lesson.
Exactly. All right, question 2. If you could go anywhere in time, like holiday dinners, where would you like to go with which family member would you like to spend holiday dinners with again? So it could be someone
Huh.
that's no longer in your life that has passed away or you don't have anything to do with anymore. But if you could pull a holiday dinner together with somebody previously, who would it be?
Well, it would there's no question it would be my dad. Um, my dad, was big on meals and big on going out to eat and fine dining and all of that. So, it was always fun to sit at a table with him. It was always a good time to sit around, and talk and laugh and eat well. And those are really fond memories of mine. So it would 100% be my dad.
Love it. Do you remember the conversations, like what you and your dad would talk about? Like, was it
It would
just life in general, or would it be a life lesson he would share?
No, it would be just life in general. It would be lighthearted, nothing deep. We didn't talk deep shit at the table. This was a time to just sit and enjoy and relax and be happy and enjoy each other's company. So that's always a good it is always a good vibe. No deep conversations, nothing like that. That's not what going out to eat was about. And I appreciate that about him because I carry that on with my kids. It's not the time, it's not the place. Um, you know, like you don't bring up politics and religion and stuff like
Yeah.
that at Thanksgiving dinner. We all know this is a disaster. We all
Right.
know this ends in tears and people slamming the door and driving off. And it's always, and you're left with all these plates full of food and everybody's mad. And
Thing is,
so,
we all relate because we all have those family members, right? We
right.
sit there. I don't know about you, but I literally sit and I go into these dinners and I go, all right, who's the asshole? Like, who's going to bring it up? And like everything can be running so smooth for like 2-3 hours. And next thing you know, someone has to tell you something they saw on TV because they know
Yeah.
they're going to get a reaction that's not going to go well. I don't know what reaction they thought, but man, it ruins the night every fucking
It's
time.
always
Like,
the same
shit.
person. Let's be
Always the
honest.
same
It's
person.
always the same person. You know
It's
who it's
always the same
coming from. You
person.
know who's going
Yeah.
to do it, and you know why
Yeah.
they're doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's literally like someone should yell,
Exactly.
"Oh, here we go," because that's what
Yeah.
it is. It's a here we go moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
For me, it was always my mom. My mom would do that. Everybody's having a good time. Let me throw a big wrench in that. And she would just do things like I don't know what it is. And her,
Did she
I
like just to
know
get a reaction, or was she really trying to change your point of view?
I think she liked the reaction. Like she would do things like what she would do? Like I would cook and I swear to God she hated that I could cook.
Yeah.
And so I like one year in particular, I had to stand there and pick my jaw up off the ground and just go, this is what I'm dealing with. I took the turkey out to rest. It was perfect or whatever. And then I went to go do something else. I don't know if it was to go to take a shower or run to the store to get something else. Whatever. I came back and she had that turkey back in the oven on like high heat. And I was like, what are you doing? She's like, it was gonna get cold. No, 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 no. So now we got this dried out turkey.
Oh,
Thanks,
shoot.
mom.
She
And
sabotaged it. Yeah.
secretly, yes, secretly she's laughing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
sabotage, perfect word. And it's just that's who she was. That was funny to her. Or like
Ah,
she'd come over, she'd walk into the house and I'm cooking everything. She doesn't come in with a dish. Nobody comes over with a dish. I'm cooking it all and they come over. And then she says to me, can you make me a cup of tea? Yeah, sure. Sure. Let me
got nothing else going on.
yeah,
Sure.
sure. Because you can't just turn the kettle on and make a cup of tea while I'm sitting here peeling potatoes, like, you know, yeah. So, that's
Yeah,
we
you're
always
right.
have
It's
that
always the
family
same
member.
person. Yeah,
Mhm.
always. You're
No, for
absolutely right.
sure, for
All
sure.
right. Speaking of politics, last question he has for you is Nicole, have you
Oh,
ever thought about running for political office?
no. No. I am like the least political person. I hate both political parties. I am dying. I hope before I go that there is a third party, an independent party that is taken seriously and that is actually on the ballot. I cannot pick and put myself in a box of this or that, this and the other. This is also why I'm not a religious person. There is no way I'm gonna sit inside of a box and fight for things I don't believe in just because I do believe in most of it. I'll just ignore that other stuff because I believe in this. I can't do that. It's not in my heart. It's not who I am. Um, I see the positives and the negatives of all of it, and I stand right in the center. And I'm too honest. I'm too honest to be a politician. Um, I have too big of a heart to be a politician, to be honest. And that is not my line of work. No, 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 sir.
You know what's interesting is, I mean, this is even before when you and I were, were kids. This is like when our parents were kids. They used to say, "You never know what you're going to grow up to be. You might grow up to be president of the United States one day." Like that was that always what they used to throw at kids you see in classrooms. Like you see out on TV shows and movies. And I go, "Who the hell wants to be president of the United States? Like, who literally wakes up in the morning and goes, I want to be leader of the free world?" I mean, Lex Luthor talks that way. Nobody talks that way. You're
I know.
insane to say I want to be leader of the free world, but I tell you what, I go the opposite on the politics deal where you say a third party. I want no parties. I want people just to run on their own merit and say this is
Well,
what I
that's what
believe
an
in.
independent would be,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not one or the other.
Be-
It's a free thinking, it's a
but my
free
point
thinking.
is, so many people vote either left or right just because that's the way they believe. But in reality, like I hang out with a lot of these people on both sides, and I'm like, that's not the value you show every day. And if you just ran, this is what I believe in, like check over here, because most people, as you said, Nicole, they are mixed on their opinions. I believe some of the
Uh-huh.
stuff on the right, some on the left, but they go party over their own beliefs without doing the
Yeah.
homework of what people really are. And
Oh, yeah.
anyway, the long story short, but yeah, I'm one of these guys. I do watch a ton of it. I was a political science major in college, and I always find it fascinating on how it works out. But it is so crazy, and it's caused so much division that
Yeah.
it's as you mentioned, you don't talk about it at the dinner table. My mom used to say all the time, you'd invite neighbors over to talk politics. People used to do it all the time, and fights didn't break out. But now it's so different with the cable news channels and everything else, that the way people get their news and what is pushed out there. Anyway,
And it's also
um,
become this thing of, like, not really knowing the facts. They say they want facts and they say
exactly.
all that, but it's really this fight against, red against blue, and it's like you're
Yeah,
just fighting to fight I is what I
yeah,
feel like. And I'll say one other thing, and this does not apply to all Christians. I am going to say that from the beginning, but when I am online and somebody says something really, really nasty to me
yeah,
out of nowhere for no reason, and they attack me and say something really nasty, and if I were to click on their profile, it always says God first,
yeah. Always.
Christian,
Yeah,
Trump supporter, and it always has the same goddamn bio. And I'm like, what kind of Christian are you that you just said that to me? A mother, a lady, and a mother. You just said those horrible things to me, and yet
is it
yeah,
isn't the line only God judges, but yet they're literally being hypocrites and judging you,
yeah.
right?
I mean,
Okay,
honestly, the nastiest things that come at me and I click on it, it always
same
says
bio.
God first. It constantly. It is a I would if I put money on it every single
Yeah.
time, I would be one wealthy lady.
That is so funny. That is so funny. All right, we're done with it. We're done with his questions. Curtis, appreciate the questions. Again, if you want to ask Nicole a question, all you have to do is go to the website, perfectlytwistedpod.com, look at Nicole's mailbag, and we'll throw the questions up there. So thank you so much, Curtis.
Yes, thank you,
We're
Curtis.
There you go. Well, I got a chance to ask you a bunch of questions. So that was fun for me. I know we didn't do the guest, but a lot of times I have stuff I want to ask you in this situation. So I was glad I got to fire through some of the things. I was just kind of curious about how acting works and where your mind's at when you're actually doing it. So you do not think about the 30 people standing around with the cameras and the whatever else they're doing, trying to make your life easier. You're focused on that one person right in front of you that you're doing the lines for. So that was
Yep.
pretty neat. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the questions. So please subscribe to us, guys. Subscribe, watch us on YouTube, rate us, give us a review, all of that good stuff. And we will catch you next week. Thanks for watching.